Joined now by Eleanor Clift. She is a political analyst with the Daily Beast. Let's start with Obamacare because it's been a lightning rod. The Republicans absolutely hate it, and yet in this presidential election, you saw Bernie Sanders saying he didn't go far enough. I mean, it seems like he's getting it from every angle. Talk to me about that.
Well, first of all, the name Obamacare was originated with the Republicans, and they meant it as an insult. And the president adopted it as his own, which I think was very smart. The law itself has extended health care to an additional 20 million people. It's cost a quarter less than it was originally thought to cost. It's actually been a success, but the Republicans are running on a platform of repeal and replace. They want to get rid of the law. They have no idea how they would replace the health care if they take it away from people. And so it's a political, as you point out, a political lightning rod, because polls show that half the people in the country think it's a bad idea, and half the people in the country think it's a good idea. And so we're divided over Obamacare like we are just about everything else.
You said actually it's a success. How
Yes.
have people been able to paint it as a failure, though? Because that seems to be this albatross around his neck.
Because a number of people in this country had health insurance. Many of them received it through their employers. And they believe that extending health care to these many millions of other people somehow meant taking away a benefit or subtracting from their benefit and helping other people who they didn't see quite as deserving. It really is a battle between the haves and the have-nots. But many people in the middle class and the lower middle class, not to mention the poor, have been without health insurance, and it's still too expensive under the Obamacare plan. And the president himself has written an article in an esteemed medical journal saying medical care is still too expensive in this country and we need to fix this law. But you don't dare go to Congress and ask them to open up anything having to do with Obamacare, because the Republicans would use that as an excuse to kill the whole thing.
Yeah, I once heard a lobbyist here in Washington say that the job of the lobbyist, everyone thinks it's to get laws passed. He said in many cases it's to prevent laws, because once they're on the book, it's almost impossible to get them stripped away. Republicans want it repealed, but the likelihood of that is minuscule,
You
isn't it?
cannot, once a right is given, you really can't take it back. And millions of people in this country now depend on Obamacare, and it's done some extraordinary things. Before Obamacare, if you had a pre-existing condition that you were treated for, insurance companies refused to cover you because you might be too expensive. They can't do that anymore. And young people can stay on their parents' policy through age 26, which is an enormous help as well. So the law has done some very good things and popular things, and the Republicans say, well, we'll keep those, we'll just get rid of the parts we don't like, which is that you pay a penalty if you don't buy health insurance. But that's how insurance works. Everybody has to pay something, and if you're young and healthy, you may resent having to buy this insurance because you're paying for people who are older and sicker. But eventually, the young people will get older and sicker too. I mean, that's the way insurance works. But the fact that it's been such a political anchor around this president, when it's going to go down in history as his signature achievement. The history books will see this as a major accomplishment, because presidents going back to Teddy Roosevelt in the last century tried to get health care and failed. And so it's a significant accomplishment. It needs to be fixed in many areas, and President Obama is hoping that his successor will build on the program as opposed to trashing it.
You used the word healthy, so I want to go to that that word, because many here in the United States feel that debate is healthy. So I want to get your thoughts on the opening of the Republican convention, where they tried to squash debate, and it seemed like there was a lot of dissension. What do you make of this first day of the convention?
I don't think it makes the American public feel more comfortable about Donald Trump and the kind of tone that he and his people are setting. People were yelling at each other and feeling, I think, that they're somehow not getting their voices heard. And the Republican National Committee basically squashed the dissent in an attempt to move on. We've got 3 more days. We'll see how successful they are in in moving on. And actually, this first night debate, I think everybody was really most anxious to see Melania Trump, the prospective First Lady, who has not really been on the campaign trail very much. And so I think the rest of it is political rhetoric that is, I think, so over the line, saying Hillary Clinton belongs in stripes, she should be in jail. I mean, this goes beyond what political opponents have said about each other in the past.
Well, it'll be fascinating to watch, and then we've got the Democratic one in Philadelphia just around the corner, so it's going to be an interesting time for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Great to see you.